I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
West.
From the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, the CharlieCar Championship welcomes you to round number 3 out of 11. We are here at the Phoenix Raceway, and it's myself, Keelan Belshaw, and a special guest, Randy Eggers, in the booth tonight. Guys, the first 2 races have been nothing short of chaotic, to say the least, for any of us. And, you know, we come into this Phoenix race, it's a bit more of a relaxing track. You know, there's not a whole lot of demand coming out of these drivers. You know, it's not being a complete short track, but it definitely has the opportunity to use a bumper, which could make it more chaotic. But from what we've seen with these first 2 races, I expect nothing short of a lot of aggression from these guys. Keelan, how did you start us off? How are you doing, and what are your expectations for tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great, and it's a good day to be at the racetrack. In these last 2 weeks, we've had a lot of wrecks, and especially at Charlotte, a lot of wrecks. So we'll see what happens today. Hopefully the field is a little bit more chill, and hopefully we can get some good racing in. How about you, Randy?
Well, after watching the last 2 races, there's been a lot of calamity, and I feel like hopefully they've got that completely out of their system going into this race. Maybe we'll get a little bit more tame of a race, but hopefully it'll still be a good one. Back to you, Charlie.
Well, thanks, guys. We're glad you're here. Before we take the green flag, we're going to step aside to honor our nation's colors. So please rise, remove your hats, as an unnamed singer sings us our national anthem.
Charlie, you know I asked to sing this week, right? Oh.
And we thank you for honoring our nation's cars with us. Cars are now rolling, and starting on the pole is at number 6 of Sarah Beyer, looking for a good run after 2 misfortunate runs the last 2 weekends. Nate Grandy's tour outside. Alex Schumacher had a promising run last weekend at Charlotte. Unfortunately, got wrecked out near the race lead. Same with Amber Voigt. And Mushu Grandy's, who's top 10 in the points, looking for another strong run, will start inside of row number 3. Ryan Bradshaw outside of row number 3. Randy Eggers will round out your top. Well, he's going to start inside of row number 4. Jack D'Andrea is going to start the outside of row number 4. Last week's winner, Ryan DeCosta, will start inside of row number 5. He'll be your 9th position. And Francisco Bacayel, supporting a Red Bull racing car, is going to round out your top 10. Well, pace cars already pull out the racetrack, but the start-finish line's already all the way around the corner. Green flag is out. We're racing at Phoenix.
Looking 3 wide already back there, the 22 of Randy Eggers, as they file into turn number 3 and 4. Side by side for the race lead, coming down the back straightaway.
Yep. Alex Schumacher, who was a very big contender last weekend at Charlotte, is looking for a strong finish, as he's not able to have that yet. Looking to the inside of Sarah Beyer. And these 4 cars are kind of having a breakaway as Mushu gets forced 3 wide for about 5th.
Sarah Beyer up there in the lead on the outside. One of the more consistent drivers this season. Last week at Charlotte, put together a great run, ran in the top 5 for the most part before bringing home a 6th place finish, as it is a swarm behind him. Amber Voigt. Nate Grandy's almost making contact there as Alex Schumacher looks like he'll clear Beyer for the race lead off of turn 4 here, coming to lap number 3.
Yep, Alex Schumacher takes the race lead. I believe these two actually battled with each other last weekend at Charlotte for that race lead, and obviously are not done battling on the racetrack yet. Alex Schumacher took the lead briefly, but Sarah Beyer is looking back to the inside. We got a little bit of I'd say a 3-car gap to Amber Voigt in 3rd place.
Yeah, we got a great battle shaping up between the 6 of Sarah Beyer and the leader there. As they enter turns 1 and 2, doesn't quite look like Sarah's going to get clear to lead this lap, but we got a good battle shaping up though. A little bit of a clean race compared to the last 2 so far. We're on past lap 2, so that's a bit of a shocker right there as we go down the back straightaway.
Yeah, it's we haven't made it past lap 2 in either of the races to start the season without a crash. So these guys are looking good. Maybe something was said in the drivers' meeting to really set these drivers straight. But it's looking good so far. As obviously way back we've got a bit of a battle going on, but up front it's civilized, and they're doing pretty good so far. One driver that I see coming up towards the pack is Reese Kupski, who was battling for the race lead but finished 2nd last weekend at Charlotte. He's up into this top 5 and is going to try to look for more as Amber Voigt squeezes up, coming out of the final corner to complete that number 5.
Yeah, Amber really closed up there on the 6 car, but she lost it there going into turns 1, went up the track, got a little tight, got a little loose, I don't know, but that gap just opened right back up there for Sarah.
Closest side-by-side battle on the racetrack. Looks like it was back there for 6 between D'Andrea and Eggers, and now it looks like it's the battle for the 8th position between last week's winner Ryan DeCosta and Mushu Grandy's, who's having a good season for that bunny rabbit right there. She sits 4th in points. That Daytona crash kept her out of being the one of the drivers with 2 top 10s this season, but she brought home a top 5 last week, so good for Mushu as she's going to get around last week's winner, and she's going to put herself in the 9th position.
Yeah, Ryan DeCosta is kind of the storyline this week. He had a very quiet Daytona 150. I believe he showed up at the end, but he didn't have enough of car left attached to his car, I should say, to really contend for the race lead. But he showed up at Charlotte, got that win, and it's of course going to bring a lot of confidence, but he's running about mid-pack, so he's going to try to do the best he can to protect those points now.
So his first career win, might I add, in the entirety of this series, as long as we've run from LGL Cup Series to now CharlieCar. He finally got that win away, looking to, build on that confidence, like you said, maybe go back-to-back here at Phoenix.
That's definitely going to, I definitely think that the win helped his confidence throughout the week. A lot of these drivers had a really unfortunate Daytona 150, and that destroys your confidence. This is only a 7-race regular season. You have to be perfect in every single race But some guys walked away with their heads down, but a lot of them rebounded at Charlotte and were able to get a good run. But obviously Alex Schumacher was very, very dejected after getting wrecked by Randy Eggers in that 22 for the lead, or at least close to it. But he's obviously showing up and showing out with about a 5-car length lead over Sarah Byer for second.
We got a good battle there shaping up for third. Side by side across the line, it looked like. That's the 12. It's Amber. And who's that underneath her?
That's Nate Grendy's.
Nate Grendy's. Look at him sliding into third. He clears Amber for that third position right there. And now we got another battle shaping up there for fourth, as coming right up to the bumper of Amber.
Yeah, that's Reese Kupski right there.
Reese Kupski in the 46 finished second last week. Had a good run as he sits third in points. He's put together a solid season to this point. Trying to reel in on Amber Voigt right there and take the fourth position away. It's a big swarm of race cars behind him as there goes Randy Eggers looking under Jackie Andrea.
Yeah, Reese is definitely widely considered one of the most consistent drivers in this series. He's got a handful of wins, one of them being the very prestigious Daytona 500 just a few seasons in the LGO Cup Series ago. And, he's always been that driver he's there. He was the only driver to pick up multiple wins in Season 5 of the LGO Cup Series before the rebrand. So you can always count on Reese to just be there at the end. Obviously, last weekend, fought for the lead, wasn't able to get it, but still is up to, I believe he's up to third in points. So he's having good runs, as he always does. He's always able to perform when he needs. So yeah, he's sitting good there in top 5 as the second place Sarah Byer starts to reel in the leaders.
Alex Schumacher, he got out there early. You're wondering if he burnt his stuff up. It's a hot racetrack down here in Phoenix, Arizona, so maybe Sarah Byer, she did a better job managing her car and her tires as she starts to reel in Alex Schumacher. She's had a good season herself, sitting 8th in points, been consistent, been up front, and that trend looks to be continuing so far today. She's trying to reel in that Michelob Ultra 68.
Nate Grendy's took the high lane there in 3 and 4 last time around. Let's see if he does it again. Not quite. Different lines there. It looks like people are trying out already in this race. But he not quite there yet. He lost a little bit of ground there to Sarah Byer in the 6. As Sarah Byer is now right on the back bumper of Alex Schumacher, our leader.
Alex led the most laps in this race so far. And well, guys, the first 2 races of this season so far have been very contact heavy and have been plagued with yellow flags, at least in the first half of these races. But now we've gone 16 laps. This is so far a record for the season of how many laps we've gone green flag racing from the start. So I gotta say, guys, I'm impressed. The drivers' meeting, I guess, worked for these guys, and they've been able to settle down and get into what's appearing to be a long run.
Looks like Byer missed her entry right there going into turn 3. She was right on the bumper of Schumacher. Looked like she couldn't quite get the angle she wanted going into without maybe running into the 68 and cost her some time. But yeah, Charlie, it's like these guys have really started to get it together. Remember the story in week 1 was Mason Byer after on lap number 2 taking out half the field. A lot of teams, a lot of drivers, they were calling for his head. They didn't want him racing this next week. And he showed up and he put together a clean race at Charlotte, but last week it was just like everybody was wrecking. Nobody could get it together. They kept trying 4 wide, and that wasn't going to work. And I knew Randy Eggers and Alex Schumacher, the current leader, they got into a little bit of scuffle in the garage area. They were not happy with each other. There's a big swarm of race cars back here battling for about last.
Yeah, we'll take a trip to the back of the pack here. We'll see how these guys are doing. That's Haley, who is having so far the roughest day out of everyone else. Your points leader, Francisco Bacallao, is second to last right now, and I believe Kenneth Bueno back there as well. A lot of guys in the top 10 in points, including Zane Borkel in that 10, as well as Stratus DePaye. These guys are having some rough days at the racetrack right now.
Francisco slid up the track there a little bit, may have been a tiny bit of contact, but they all kept it together as they look to go 3 wide into this turn, maybe? Oh, something might have to give here, boys.
Yeah, it's 3 wide, but I think, oh man, that's close between the 30 and the 23. These guys, especially, we've seen this at Charlotte, Keelan, when you were in the booth with me. A lot of these, the most intense battles were really deep in the pack, as these guys are really trying to rough it out and try to make the most of a poor day.
Yeah, and I think
squeezing into the wall there, the 23.
I believe, Charlie, that is a product of the qualifying order that it's set in the driver's meeting each day. When they come in, they draw a number. That's where you're starting. That's a product of some of the faster cars who are starting near the pack, trying to get around some of the cars they think they are faster than and get up through them. And I think that's what creates such large swarms of race cars further back in the pack. And remember, if you want to join the conversation today in the chat, use hashtag AskCharlieCar and you get to your question if it's able to be answered in the chat today.
Speaking of guys who thinks they're faster than others, Randy Eggers made the pass for, that's the 5th spot around Reese Kupski, and Jack DeAndrea took an opportunity there as Randy washed up the racetrack a little bit. He's now going to look for that 5th spot. So Reese Kupski lost 2 spots there, now getting a challenge from his contender last week, Ryan DaCosta. So it's, overall just a really clean race so far. But these top 3 right here has bunched up. So Alex Schumacher, Sarah Byer, and Nate Grendy's all, you can pretty much throw them under a blanket for this first spot.
Looking underneath the 6 of Sarah Byer and Nate, looking for a little bit of fresh air maybe to get a run off that corner as they go down the front straightaway and through the dog leg. Here they come into turns 3 and 4. Whoa, up to the high side goes Nate, looking for some air up there. Not quite going to get much of a run, though.
No.
He loses quite a bit of position.
I think Alex, I got to compliment Alex here for maintaining that race lead. These guys have caught up to him. It's been like pretty much like a slinky. They've been retracting back and catching up kind of intermittently here, but Alex has done a really good job of protecting that line, and he's able to maintain that race lead over Sarah.
Yeah, that Highland does not quite have enough grip there to make a pass. The 6 car, though, looking underneath him, not quite going to get there, though.
That's the move. That's the move she has been looking for, though, is to try and get there off a corner exit and try to set him up in 3 and 4, because it seems like every time she's close in 3 and 4, she ends up sliding up the racetrack, and that could be a product of the dirty air that the 68's plaguing right in front of her. So that's the move that she's been looking for, trying to get to the inside of the 68, get a decent enough run to stick with them down the backstretch, and then be on the bottom going into 3. That is obviously the preferred lane to this point, at least in 3 and 4. That bottom is the way to go.
Now,
To your point, it looks like Sarah can hold the bottom through 3 and 4 just a little bit better than the leader of Alex Schumacher. Able to put those tires right on that line as well, just as I say that she gets to the high lane. But she got to try something different here to get around him, because what she was doing before just was not working. They have now a battle for second.
Battle for second, 27 laps into this race. I'm starting to think that we might cross a record this season for the longest green flag run, really. But so far so good. These laps are going by quick, guys. It's not going to be long before we reach halfway through this race. We do have a set of pit stops coming up. That's going to end up a little more closer to the end of the race than we would expect from an average race. But I think that's just going to add to the excitement, because these guys are still bunched up, really. First to 10th is only 2.5 seconds from first to 10th. So I would expect that to be pretty exciting. Speaking of bunching up, Randy Eggers is looking inside for that top 4.
22 car looks really strong this race. On the move, already looking for 4th. We just saw him a few laps ago make a 3-wide move for 5th. Now he's looking into that top 4 and staring right at the top 3.
Another car who's been driving up ever so slightly has been inching forward through this field is Ryan DaCosta, who we saw inch his way into the top 5, and now he's approaching this lead pack. It seems like everyone's trying to bunch up from second on back, as Sarah Byer has done a pretty good job holding that second spot, but it's just allowing Alex Schumacher to pull away, which is exactly what he wants to see in his mirror, is these two battling.
That's kind of how DaCosta won last week, Charlie. That 26, he just quietly made his way through all the calamity and ended up getting in the race lead and winning the thing. I'm just a little bit curious, do you think guys in the back should be considering a strategy call right now to maybe pit, get fresh tires, and have some, when everybody else pits, be up in the race lead and maybe bank on a yellow close to the end of this thing? You just need things to fall in your favor, but you think anybody's going to be looking at that strategy right now to pit, maybe 20 laps earlier than the rest of the field.
Well, I definitely think it's a viable strategy to undercut these guys. You saw Sarah Beyer get passed for second, now getting passed for third as Randy Eggers makes his way to the inside. We got got the marriage pact third and fourth. Randy will know what I'm talking about. Anyway.
Oh no.
Back to what you were talking about, Keelan. The people I'm watching here are the guys from about 9th to 10th on back. We see Mushu Grennies and Molly Beyer specifically. This is a pack of people it's gonna take a lot of effort of driving on the racetrack to get around. So why not come in just a few laps earlier than everybody else? Get those fresh tires before all these guys do. Run faster laps. It's called the undercut strategy. And I don't see why. Why not? Why not try it? Especially if, pit stops are going to be closer to the end of this race. It's not going to cost a whole lot if that strategy were to fail. You might fall out of the top 10, but you're really not going to lose as many spots as you would want to. So I'm looking at these guys, Molly Beyer, Mushu Grennies, even Ryan DaCosta, who has a fast race car but doesn't want to put in the effort to pass all these cars. That's definitely a viable strategy, Keelan. We got a ride battling up here outside the top 10.
That's Keelan Belsha in the 18 making a move on the bottom. That's going to put him in 11th. He started a little bit further in the pack than he wanted. And there's his Dirty South Racing teammate Alex Williams nearly taking out the 20 of Shane DiMantova. And this is the furthest Alex Williams has made it in a race this season. He started on the front row 2 straight races, and pretty early he's getting taken out. So good for Alex to be able to put together a run here.
We saw a little bit of contact there just a few moments ago as they look to go 4 wide here through this turn. I don't know if this is going to work, guys.
Oh, man, they're keeping it tidy for now. Looks like Trip Belsha pulled out on the bottom line. But that, Keelan, you and I have seen this season that 4 wide does not work. And I think our friend Kenneth Bueno would be terrified because this certainly is no 4 wide racing league. That's a reference I hope some people would get. But they were able to get it sorted out, and now they're keeping it tidy for now. We're gonna take a look back up front. Nate Grendies was able to get by for second or for third, and now he's gonna try to look for the race lead.
Yeah, 4 wide the last 2 races, they did not work. We finally saw a 4 wide move be able to work, and Phoenix of all places is where it works. That is something.
That 68 of Schumacher, he's been in control of this race since the drop of the green flag. Sarah Byers got up to him, tried to contest him, but hasn't found her way around him. Now it's Nate Grendies in the 8 car, a rookie this season, trying to go for his first win. Brother of Emma Grendies, right? That's correct?
Yes.
Yes? Yeah, so that's how he found his way into this sport, and now he's trying to get himself a shot at his first career win and first career laps led. He looks to the outside, trying to get a run built down the backstretch and try to make a move in 3, but just not going to close up enough right there. I feel like it's such an advantage to be the leader at this racetrack, Charlie.
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
Oh, I tell you what, though, he made that high lane work just about, really, really good compared to everyone else.
Yeah, it's good as you can.
Yeah, about as good as you can, as we've seen this race. Most people, they lose a lot of ground when they go to the high lane through that turn. He kept it about the same, maybe closed a little bit, but just not quite enough.
Nate Grendy is currently sitting 12th in points, so just 2 spots out from the playoffs. I think a good run here is gonna put him in a really good spot. But one thing, there hasn't been a change for the lead, although there's been battles, scattered throughout the track. But one thing I'm really enjoying here is how bunched up this top 10 is. These guys are all just in a single file line. Although there's not, it's not side by side all the time, but I think it's going to make for a very interesting pit strategy. Randy Eggers in that number 22 is going to look to the inside of Nate Grendies, 2 Fords battling for second and third. I think Nate might have had a slip up there, and Randy's taking an opportunity here to try to take that spot.
And if that 22 car gets to second, we saw what happened between him and Alex Schumacher at Charlotte. This might get interesting.
It might, and I don't think that's left either of their minds as we come into this week, because that's what took them out of contention, both of them out of contention last week. So you're telling me if Eggers doesn't get up to Schumacher, nothing's going to happen? I don't believe it. I think there's a good possibility these two may rough each other up.
Oh, that's Reese
No
Kutsky.
trouble, Reese Kutsky.
No!
Engine troubles for the number 46, a contender last week, and now has a blown engine this week. And that is just unfortunate. Third place in points down the drain for Reese Kupski as he pulls into the pit lane. Wow.
Such a season, just up in smoke, literally, here at Phoenix.
Wow.
That's so unfortunate for that 46 team.
Yeah, not what Kupski wanted to see at all, as we were just talking about how he's one of the most consistent drivers when it comes to this series, and right now his engine failed him. Not even he didn't do anything wrong. It's just
nothing.
The product of the racing when you're racing.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself, there, Keelan.
Wow, that is wow.
Tragic.
And for a 7-race regular season, you have to be perfect throughout this regular season, and that's definitely not what Pepsi.
That could be a death blow to his entire season. 2 really, really strong races, 1 mishap, and you just could be done for. He's really gonna have to put a great rest of the season together.
So, looking at the points here, I unfortunately, Reese Kupski is going to lose a lot of points compared to the other drivers. But one thing I'm seeing looking at the points is there are very few drivers who are top 10 in points that are also top 10 in this race. I believe only person would be Mushu Grendis. So even though, yes, Reese Kupski is unfortunately out of this race for, says
Sarah Byer is what?
Yeah, Sarah
Byer as well. Top 10 points. And race.
Oh, yeah, she is.
And Acosta.
Yeah. So it's, looking back, JJ Hill's in the top 10 in points. Stratus DePaye, these 2 drivers are leading the points. Kenneth Bueno and Francisco Bacalhau. They're having very poor runs this race. So although, yes, Reese Kupski is going to lose a lot of points, it's not a whole lot compared to the other drivers in the top 10. So if there's a saving grace to that engine blow, it's that. But there really is nothing good that can come out of losing an engine in a 7-race regular season.
You only have so many opportunities to make points and make the playoffs, and I feel like if you're going to mess up, you can only do it once. So Kupski now just has to put his head forward and put together some good runs, because I don't think you can afford 2 DNFs and still have a shot at the playoffs, in my opinion.
It's tough.
It'll be an uphill battle for sure if it comes down to that. Alex Schumacher still in command of this race. Here on lap, 48? Now going on to 49. It looks like that the second place car has lost quite a bit of ground. He's just cruising, going out for a nice little Monday night cruise.
Yeah, Alex Schumacher has put a lot more car lengths. I think that this is the furthest out we've had a leader so far in this race over second place, and halfway point was lap number 47. So, we've been live for, I believe we've been racing for only 20 minutes. So this race is going to go by pretty quick if these guys can keep it clean all the way to the end, which I'm pretty impressed. That's what they're doing right now, and it's only going to get a little bit more spread out from here. Randy Eggers is looking inside for second place, going to try to give it another shot.
That's one of the first times I've seen somebody go fully committed under that yellow line there to make a pass. So Eggers trying something different as these tires wear and lap times fall off, and now he's got the bottom in 3 and 4. Gonna have to stick it with him and see if he takes the dog leg. Gonna go under it a little bit, try to make that pass in 1 and 2, and the way it's looking, he might have him cleared in the middle of the corner.
22 car is on rails this race so far. I don't think he's only. Hey, thank you.
CSX pun.
I don't know if that pun was intended, but it works.
He's not fallen back, I don't think, at all. He's only been going forward all the way up to second, now setting his sights there on the leader of Alex Schumacher. And as I said previously, they do have a history just last race. So we'll see what happens if that 22 can close. But that's a big if, as Alex is also... He's just going out for a little cruise here, pulling away from everybody else.
Yeah, he's doing a good job right now, and battle for second isn't done yet, but I think what Randy is really trying to do is, Nick Rendies fell off just a little bit, and Alex has been able to build that gap on him, so he's going to try to get ahead of him to try and close that gap for himself, But unfortunately, that's not going to work as Nate Grendy's plows to the inside. Randy's holding that outside line.
Can he get a run off this turn? Looks like he's pulling side by side, neck and neck down the back straightaway.
It's just so difficult here in 3 and 4 when you're on the top to try and get the power down off of it, but I think that would really prove the 22 is one of the fastest race cars on track, and I know that team living by the motto, effort equals results, so they have really just been working hard at it all season long, as now it's going to open the door for Jack DeAndrea to the inside of the 22.
Yeah.
There goes the Buffalo Wild Wings machine.
And battling just like this is exactly what Alex wants to see in his mirror. This is going to open up more lead for that number 68 machine.
And he's going to fall back to 4th here. He should be able to maintain that spot, assuming that Ryan DaCosta isn't the next to jump to his inside. It looks like he is. So Randy is on his way outside of the top 5 with that move by Nate Grendy's. Other drivers were able to get inside of him, and now he's falling back.
How about this quiet run for the 28 car in the 3rd spot, Jack DeAndrea, and what a story it's been for him the last few months. We can flash you back all the way to Michigan in the LGL Cup Series. Had a terrible crash, ended up being hospitalized that night, ended up being released and came back to racing the next week, and then at Daytona, got turned by the cat Eclipse de Paille. He was not happy. He had some choice words for that cat, and then ended up still pulling out an 11th place finish. And then last week, it just seemed like the wrecks, he was a wreck magnet. So it's good to see that 28 car putting together a good run up in the 3rd spot. Now he's trying to run down Nate Grendy's for the 2nd spot.
Yeah, an incredible recovery story for Jack DeAndrea, and I think he's looking pretty fast right now. He's pulled up to the back end of Nate Grendy's in that number 8. So, wondering if Jack DeAndrea could be the next to kind of get up to that race lead. I'm starting to wonder when these pit stops are going to occur. We're about 60% of the way through this race so far, and I would expect pit stops to happen at least before lap number 80. So we could be 15, 20 laps out from our pit stops. And, like I said, guys, these pit stops are going to push towards the end of this race just a little bit. So these pit stops could be happening as late as 10 to go. And that's definitely going to shake things up. If Alex Schumacher or Nate Grendy's has a bad pit stop, anyone else from behind can get ahead of them and take this lead and the win.
And really, all you have to do to maintain that lead is hold a good bottom lane. It's been really difficult to go around anybody on the high side, as the only car that I've really been able to see get any sort of ground or momentum on the high lane is sitting there in 2nd, that A car, as he reels in the leader. He ran the high lane a few laps ago pretty well, or about as well as you can. But now he files back in there 2nd, and as we see Alex, he's just been holding the bottom the whole race. No one's been able to get around him except for on lap 2, where Sarah edged him out just for a minute, and then he got right back by.
Yeah, this is total domination, I'd say. I'm not sure if he led every lap since the beginning. Obviously, Sarah got by him for just a little bit.
I believe Sarah led maybe lap 2, and that was about it.
Yeah, so this is domination from Alex so far. He's got a great car, but he's pulling a little bit to the inside here, all the way down to the apron. This could be signaling
pit road.
Yeah, this could be signaling for pit stops. Alex is going to be the first one in. It could be an interesting move if he does come into the pit lane here. And
he just had trouble.
Not sure.
He just had trouble off the corner with handling or something.
Not entirely sure. Yeah, we do have cars going into the pit lane though. Nate Grendy's, that's Ryan DaCosta, is the highest car in the running order to take a step into the pit lane so far.
Maybe he was just testing the waters a little bit, seeing if he pulls down, if anyone else will go in there, see what everyone's strategy is. A little bit of a fake out maybe?
Fake out maneuver.
You don't want to make a mistake here, as all these guys, the entire top 4 is coming into the pit lane here. This is the money stop, guys. This is almost the entire pack coming into the pit lane, and this is a big opportunity for some of these guys to get ahead of anyone and get these spots. I'm shocked. I thought they were going to all come in at different times, but even for the people like Ryan DaCosta, who went in 1 lap earlier, they're going to have an advantage for a lap. We're going to see how that shakes out, but guys are going to start pulling in momentarily.
What's the call for the 68 here, Randy?
Well, the 68 looks like it's probably going to take 4 tires, I believe. He's the leader, so I mean, taking anything less would probably be a big gamble. It's up to the people behind him to gamble and probably getting a leapfrog on him here, so I would assume he's going to take full fuel and 4 fresh tires.
We're going to see
Copy
which
that.
car drops the jack first. Alex here at Phoenix.
I apologize, my internet dropped for a second, but I am back now.
Yeah, mine as well. How about that? What's happening here in Phoenix?
Who we got leading now, Charlie?
Actually,
Me?
Ryan DaCosta.
Oh.
No, I believe Keenan stayed out. But Ryan DaCosta went in a lap earlier than everybody else, and his pit strategy put him out in the race lead to try and go back to back. Keelan Belsha is up here in the 4th spot. That's a really great call by his team to go in. And I think the biggest loser from all this is Nate Grendies, who falls all the way out to 10th place down by that Amber Voigt, Alex Williams. Another big loser is Randy Eggers in that 22, falling outside of the top 10.
Well, we saw the 22 get through cars relatively easy early on in the race. However, the problem is we don't have that many laps left. I don't know if he's going to be able to get back up there, but he definitely has one of the strongest cars of this race. But the biggest winner, like you said, DaCosta there in that NBC machine.
Had a fast car last week, quietly stole a win away, and today on pit road might have loudly silenced the doubters who said it was a fluke if he can pull this one off today. But the most dominant car of the day, the 68, is not going to let him go without a fight.
We'll take a trip back through the pack, see how things shake out. Lars Dierks currently occupies last still on the lead lap. JJ Hill in that number 51 is 3 laps down.
The trouble with J.J. Hill, who has had no luck really this season, one of the fastest cars at Daytona and had a shot to win, and it just felt like what could go wrong would go wrong there. And Charlotte got caught up in a crash as well, so we will see what happens to the 51 here if we get the opportunity.
Right now we're looking at a replay, and it looks like he came back with everybody else into the pit lane.
He came in with the tag.
I don't see any damage on his car, but he stayed in that pit stall for about 2 or 3 laps. It's an oddity to me why he's back on the racetrack now, but unfortunately he's 4 laps down.
Possibly the jack broke.
That could be an issue. We see that in real life in the Cup Series. But yeah, JJ Hill is currently occupying 10th in the points, 8th in the points, is unfortunately 4 laps down. He wasn't having the best run today, but he was just trying to salvage what he could. Unfortunately, that turned out to be nothing. We're going to take a trip back up to the front of the pack. Ryan DaCosta still has this race lead. He's got 24 laps to bring it home, really. I'm surprised for coming in a lap early. You'd expect his tires to wear off sooner, but he's keeping that race lead ahead of Alex.
Quiet day at the racetrack today, Charlie, compared to the last 2 loud weeks we've had. We've had a quiet green flag race to this point. You think we'll have a caution before this thing is over to shake this thing up, or do you think it's DaCosta's to lose?
Well, we've seen a lot of civilized racing so far, which is a welcome change to this series, or at least this season so far. But we're it's peaceful so far, and with these guys a little bit more spread out, I would expect even more calm racing. So it's a bit of a
no.
No, sorry, I should have said that to begin with. No.
What about you, Randy? What are you thinking?
I think the only way we'll probably get a caution is if we see another engine failure somewhere around a large pack of cars, like we saw with Reese earlier in the race. If someone loses their motor right in front of a car, that could be a recipe for disaster.
Thoughts on going through the field, Charlie?
Yeah, we'll take a trip
everybody's
to the
winning?
field. So we'll take a trip through the field here. Ryan DaCosta, starting off, he started a little bit deeper into the pack than a lot of these guys, but was able to go into the pit lane, get a fresh pair of tires, and really took advantage of those fresh tires because he is out in your race lead. Ryan DaCosta had a quiet run at Daytona, got a win last week at Charlotte, and now he's looking to make it back-to-back.
Second position is the 68 of Alex Schumacher, the dominant car of the race to this point. Rolled off in third and has led nearly every lap up until the pit stops. Had DaCosta jump him on pit road when he pitted a lap earlier, and now he's trying to run him back down, take the lead, and try to take the win and the lead back and get his first win of the season.
Third, we got Jack DeAndrea there in the 28. He's been having a very quiet day so far, quietly whittling away, trying to get positions up, and he finds himself here in third after those pit stops. He's also had a very quiet season all around, but looking really, really strong here at Phoenix. Third position for the number 28 car.
LSUA Toyota Camry of Keelan Belsha, another driver who benefited greatly from those pit stops. Along with Ryan DaCosta, he went in a lap early and got around all of these cars and is now seeing himself inside the top 5. Keelan, I think to start this race, we didn't expect that number 18 to make a whole lot of moves or even make his way through the pack, but now here he is, even looking outside for the third spot around Jack DeAndrea. But Keelan Belsha currently sits at the top 10 with less than 20 laps to go.
Molly Byron, the fifth position, the Kansas City Chiefs employee, started top 10 and has maintained a top 10 to this point, and she's trying to get her season back on track after 2 finishes outside the top 20. She currently sits in fifth.
We got Bradshaw there in the number 2 car, riding back there in 6th position. Got a little bit of pressure on his back bumper right now. Large pack behind him, but he's not had that good of a season. Once again, a very quiet season for this driver. It's loose right behind him. Riding here, 6th position here at Phoenix. Looking to cap off an amazing run so far.
Mason Byard took a lot of heat in that first race at Daytona, causing the big one. But he's having a good run here. I also believe that he was a benefit, or took a lot of benefit from those pit stops, getting around a lot of these cars. Mason Byard was outside the top 15 during the course of this race, but is now seeing himself inside the top 10. As it might not be for long, as these guys are starting to get by him.
Big swarm of race cars. Nate Grindy's in the 8 car, who has been up front all day today, has been the one driver to really give Alex Schumacher a challenge. Had a poor pit stop, and that has relegated him to the 7th position as he's trying to make up some ground and get back in this fight.
Now rounding out your top 10, we see a side-by-side, really. 2 cars right there we could talk about. But right now we're focused on who is that? I can't quite see it.
Alex Williams.
Yeah, that would be Alex.
Alex
I can take this one.
I'll go for it.
Alex Williams has not made it past lap 2 in either race so far this season, but he is putting together a top 10 run today. Started on the front row twice this season so far, but has converted those to 2 DNFs. He started outside the top 10 today, and now converting it to a top 10 finish so far. I'm gonna cut this a bit short because Alex Schumacher. I've been watching the standings here, and Alex Schumacher has cut this lead down at least 0.3 of a second over the course of the last 5 laps. So, Keelan, I think, I hate to cut it through the field short, but this is a development that's gonna change. That's really gonna determine the winner of this race because these two are top 2. Obviously, what am I even saying? But they're within 0.4 of a second of each other, Keelan.
Yeah, right now, this battle for the lead, you can compare this to a moment when you're watching Days of Our Lives on NBC and Lester Holt cuts in with an NBC News special report. That's what's happening right now. Alex Schumacher has closed the gap with 12 laps to go here, trying to make a charge and get around that 26. One thing we have not seen yet, Charlie, is when that leader gets in clean air and gets out single-filed, we have not seen a pass for the lead. So we will see if Schumacher can be the first one to do that, as Keelan Belsha has taken the 3rd spot back there from Jack DeAndrea. But here comes Schumacher making a move. Will he take a look to the bottom here in 1 and 2? It's 11 to go at the Phoenix Raceway.
Haven't seen a pass for the race lead, but we haven't seen really a huge difference in car performance so far. I think the biggest difference here is that Ryan DaCosta was running in the back of the pack before he took that race lead, so eventually his tires are going to wear off a little bit more, especially because he came in a lap earlier than Alex Schumacher. So I think this is more of a difference in performance that we're going to see here. I think Alex Schumacher could have a bit of an easier time taking the race lead, given that. But also, we've seen this race lead is hard to defend. Randy, you can continue what you're saying.
I was just going to build off of what Keelan was saying as well. You know, going fast on a clean track with no one around you is one thing, but racing a car is a completely different story. Finding your way around a car when they have a clean track in front of them, they get to choose what lane they want to go into a corner first. That's difficult, especially when it's what we've seen to be a one-groove track so far, really. So the leader, obviously, if DaCosta is going to choose that bottom lane every time, if he has a say, it's going to be difficult for Alex to get around this leader here of DaCosta.
On board with the 68 as he tries to take a look for the race lead on his back bumper. And that's the thing we've been seeing today. Right when you get up to the back bumper, it's like that dirty air just piles up on your nose and you can't turn it down into the corner. And that has been the issue with Sarah Beyer. It's been the issue with Nate Grendes. Everybody who's tried to get around Schumacher. Now Schumacher getting a taste for what it feels like in that second position.
Guys Racing currently sits 1 and 2 on the racetrack. The only 2 cars on this team in the field are now looking at a 1-2 finish. This is a monumental accomplishment for this team that has just formed this year among 2 friends who have been friends for a handful of years. Alex,
2017, I believe, is when the group chat was formed.
yeah, it's been a long time since these 2 have known each other, and they're racing on the same team, looking for a 1-2 here. But that's definitely what both of them want to see. But Alex really wants to get ahead of him. After he's got some unfinished business after last weekend at Charlotte, and as much as he hates getting beat, I don't know what I'm saying. He wants to win. That's all.
I understand what you're going for.
I was trying to build on that, but I
if there's one car he can lose to in the field, it might as well be your teammate.
Yeah.
If I'm him, though, I'm hopping on the radio. I'm saying, Ryan, you already got to win this year. There's only so many opportunities to make points and make the playoffs. And in a playoffs, it's only 8 cars, and you have 7 races in the regular season. Do you know how huge that would be to get 2 teams in it? It's not winning you're in, but it's win, and you get a good amount of points to possibly make it in. So,
see, that's exactly what I'm saying. If I was Ryan, I wouldn't want to pull over because it's not winning you're in. I would want to get as many points as I can by winning as many races as I can.
Well, I guess you can be the devil's advocate in this situation. You be the little devil on DaCosta's shoulder, and I'll be the angel. I'll say, hey, let's let our teammate get there. Let's get the advantage when it comes to the playoffs, because that's what's going to matter. This championship is what matters. And I know you want to win so bad, but you really want to win it so bad that you screw your teammate out and you screw your whole team out of a possible advantage in the playoffs, because 1 point could be all the difference.
The only external factor that I can see affecting in this battle for the race lead is lap cars, but lap cars have not been a factor this entire race. But I think that's, the competition, or at least the cars in this series, are really close in terms of performance. So the closest lap car is heading towards the front straightaway right now as these guys are approaching the back straightaway. So that's really the only external factor I can see affecting these cars. But Alex Schumacher is going to want to try to make one last attempt at this race lead. They're going to come to 2 laps to go. He's less than 0.4 of a second behind. We'll see what Alex Schumacher can do. Ryan DaCosta takes 2 laps to go here at Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not over with, but as long as DaCosta still gets to choose what line he wants to go into the corner, and as long as he has that clean racetrack, it's going to be really difficult for Alex to get around him here.
It's a pretty similar situation to what we saw last week. DaCosta late in the race took the lead, took his opportunity, and now he's taking the lead as Schumacher is going to have 1 more lap to try and make a move for this race win. DaCosta is going to lead him by a car length or 2 going into turn number 1. 1 lap to go at Phoenix.
He's looking there, but I don't know if he's going to get there as we go down the back straightaway. He still has about a car length on him. Not quite a good enough run going down the back straightaway here as they enter turns 3 and 4.
1 lap.
Or 1 and 2, I guess, rather. Coming to the checkered flag, DaCosta is going to win back-to-back at Charlotte. What a story for that race team.
1-2 for the guys racing. That's huge, Charlie.
And what a win for Ryan DaCosta going back-to-back. It's the first time in a really long time, at least, that I've seen a back-to-back winner in this racing universe. But Ryan DaCosta is the man to do it. Alex Schumacher, his teammate, finishes in second. A great result for that team and a great deal of points for those 2.
Pretty clean race overall today at Phoenix as the last drivers have taken the checkered flag and no cautions. Has that ever happened in NR? As long as you've been testing this and as long as you've been running these races, have you had caution free before?
Well, it's yeah, I've had a caution free, but especially for this racetrack, how much they fan out over the course, or at least during the laps during this race. It's definitely it's a welcome surprise to have no yellow flags. So we're going to take a look at the finishing results here from Phoenix Raceway. Ryan DaCosta and the number 26 goes back-to-back. Alex Schumacher, his teammate, finishes a very impressive second-place finish. Unfortunate for him as he was the dominant car of this race. Keelan Belsha comes home in third place. Jack DeRange will come home in fourth. And Molly Byer is going to round out your top five. A very quiet race, but a very good deal of points for her. Ryan Bradshaw finishes sixth. Alex Williams finally finishes a race and finishes inside of the top 10. He finishes seventh. Amber Voigt finishes in the 8th position. Nate Grandy's 9th. Eli Comerford 10th. That'll round out your top 10 as Mason Byer will finish 11th. Randy Eggers had a good race up front, but unfortunately fell outside of the top 10. He finishes 12th. Sarah Byer finishes 13th. Joseph Goder in that 14th position. Mushu Grandy's 15th. Eclipse Paye 16th. Mike Byer in that number 12 finishes 17th. Zane Workel 18th. Emma Grandy's 19th. And Shane DiMantova is going to round out your top 20. Michael Pruitt, outside of your top 10, finishes in the 21st position. Kenneth Bueno, second in the points, finishes 22nd. Strauss DePaye, another top 10, or another driver that's top 8 in the points, finishes 23rd. Haley, 24th. Francisco Bacallao, your points leader, finishes 25th. A tough day for him and his points deal. Lars Diers finishes 26th. Trip Bell's just 27th. JJ Hill and Reese Kupski will round out your top 10 as the two drivers finishing at least a lap down. Well, guys, it was a crystal clean race here at Phoenix Raceway. The only incident or race-altering incident that we had was Reese Kupski unfortunately losing a motor about halfway through this race. That's an unfortunate deal for him, as well as JJ Hill falling a few laps down. But guys, it's a crystal clean race compared to the last few weeks. I'm impressed with the strategy. I'm impressed with the racing these guys had. But eventually, overall, or at the end, Ryan DaCosta was able to take that race win.
Yeah, they kept it really clean on the racetrack today, and we touched on it earlier in the broadcast about that undercut strategy that DaCosta ended up trying. He only undercut him by a lap, but that was enough to get him in the lead by nearly a second and fend off his teammate, and it just showed how important clean air was today for the race leader, as Schumacher just didn't get a chance to get around him. He got there, but like Randy said earlier, it's one thing to get to him, it's another thing to pass him, and there was just nothing that second-place car could really do all day long.
Yeah, really nice change of pace this race. Really no accidents, a caution-free race, and everyone finished under green except for the aforementioned Reese, who had engine problems going down the front straightaway very early on in the race. Very unfortunate for him, but that was a really, really good race right there, guys. Close all day, domination, despite the closeness. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it was a clean race for Charlotte. Ended up being a fuel strategy win from Ryan DaCosta, but he goes back-to-back. We thank you guys for watching the CharlieCar Championship, week number 3. Next week, we got a good race going there. It'll be Alex's home track. Actually, we got a. I believe there were no hometown heroes in this race, but we definitely will next week as we go into Michigan Speedway. That's going to be a wild race. We're going to see a lot of close racing there. But for those of you in the Twitch chat, for myself and Keelan Belsha and Randy Eggers in the booth, we thank you guys for watching. Once again, we got a lot of great races coming up the rest of the season, but we thank you for watching the 3 races so far. And to that, I say good night and big balls.
True.